Hello, everyone, and welcome into CrushTheStreet.com. I'm here with Dale Olmstead of Precious Metals Bullion and Vault. He's a precious metals dealer. He stores people's metals, and he even offers a way for people to transact with the metal they have in their account as if it was a Visa card, which we'll discuss in the interview because it's actually very fascinating and the way of the future if you believe in true money, true currency. So he's a first-time guest. Dale, thanks so much for joining me today.
Well, thank you for having me.
Dale, let's start off with your thoughts on precious metals. Since you're a first-time guest, let's kind of get your perspective on why own precious metals. Why is it important?
Very good. Yeah. Well, my background, let's start there a little bit. I'm a jeweler by trade. I've spent 35 years in the jewelry industry as a journeyman jeweler and owning my own business. And a few years back, about 10, 15 years ago, a few of my clients, affluent clients, came in and said, Dale, you buy metals. How do I do it? And so I basically led them into the bullion business as in, oh, well, I can do that for you. That's how I became a bullion dealer. And then I started studying the market a little bit closer to find out, well, why is this so important? And in my due diligence and studies, and I found out that the best store of value throughout recorded history has been in precious metals, using them as money, and makes it a little bit of a difference than currency. And we can get into that a little bit later, too, if you need be. And so the due diligence study, it led me down the trail of understanding why metals are important. And what I found out was Article 1, Section 10 of our Constitution, of our founding fathers, states we're to only use gold and silver as money. So I really wanted to understand why would that be. And because of the properties of precious metals, you're limited to the amount that you can dig out of the ground, mine out of the ground. And so it puts constraints on the fundamentals of being able to expand. Like today, in the messes that we have, and that's a whole nother can of worms to open up, but economically and financially, being able to just create something out of nothing has empowered a lot of people in a lot of different areas of the world that, in my opinion, are out of sync with the populace. And through alternative media, things like what you're doing, Ken, has put into play a way for people to be educated themselves to understand that there are options. And so you mentioned in the beginning that this is something new. Actually, I'm trying to bring back something old and get us back to our roots, get us back to our republic, get us out of this United States corporation, and put us into a functioning United States republic again. And so I think it is a base. It's not the answer all. It's a interim thing, and it may wind up being a basket full of different things that create a currency again. But something's changing in the near future, and I'm not sure how it's going to play out. I don't have all the answers. But I do believe in being a good Boy Scout, prepare for the worst, hope for the best, and know it and understand it depends on something bigger than myself or even a small group. It really is humanity that's at stake here, and I think that the battle is being won inch by inch, increment by increment, and time will tell.
Dale, let's talk about the precious metals access card then. This is kind of the wave of the future. Obviously, what you just said is, getting things back, but as of right now, we have a fiat currency system. So let's talk about what you're offering in terms of this PMAC card and what that offers and where it's taking things.
You bet. What I'm looking to do is just offer people options, opportunities that I think are bestowed upon us with God-given rights, not corporation rights, as in limiting us to what we can and cannot do, our liberties, freeing us up a little bit, and going back to our roots. If you so choose to want to use precious metals for money, you can do that. It's a little difficult in the systems that are in play. You have to hold it, then you have to go exchange it for a currency of your jurisdiction, and then go spend it. What I'm offering to do is eliminate a few of those steps with our precious metal access card. First and foremost, I always want to tell people when they come into our shop, our office, is we encourage getting a core position that you hold and own first and foremost. That way there's no counterparty risk. I'm not in charge of it. Another company isn't in charge of it, and you actually have something. And then as you go about your daily business and routine and decide, I want to use some metal for money, allow us to be a custodian of a small position of that core, and then you can start using your metal for money by the simple swipe of a debit card. And that's what we do. We provide that exchange for people of their physical asset into a currency of their jurisdiction so that they can go about their daily business.
So a currency of their jurisdiction, you just caught my attention there. So any currency around the world we can use this card with? Well,
with the unique systems in play, because we still have to use those that are in play. And that Federal Reserve System and the banking system is really the only game in town. It's the monopoly of choice at this point in time. And so, what we are able to do, it is settled in U.S. dollars, but if you use your debit card in Sweden or Europe, somewhere else in the world, it's automatically done through the banking system that, you are using that currency, but it's transacted and traded and exchanged through the banking system into the U.S. dollar at this time and in this juncture. And so, yes, we have clients that are going overseas and are able to use their debit cards there against their precious metals. So it's as if you were taking physical metal with you to another jurisdiction and able to spend that metal in another jurisdiction on your things that you need.
So Dale, how does it work? Is it work just as if it is a Visa card and it's accepted anywhere Visa is accepted?
Yes, that's correct. It's a Visa debit checking card, and so it's as if you were using your metals as money, as our Constitution states. I'll go back to that a few more times, I'm sure, throughout the interview. Article 1, Section 10, only gold and silver is to be used as money. So, like I say, if you want to be able to do that, we're offering that.
Okay, so just to be clear, what types of precious metals can you transact with?
Our most popular account, it would be silver at this time, and then gold, and then we also offer platinum, palladium, and it looks like here in the next 3 to 6 months we'll be adding rhodium.
Okay. So Dale, I want to just bring up the obvious question. What is the cost of swiping the card? I mean, is there a cost for storing the metal there? The transaction cost? I mean, how much do you lose at spot price? Can you kind of run through some of these numbers for us, so just in full disclosure?
Oh, absolutely. Well, to sign up and to hold a card, there are no fees. There's no cost to that. These are free checking accounts, so they're able to access or not have any fees accessed with them. Price points that we make so we can stay in business and keep our doors open is as if you were coming to me physically, buying the metal, leaving with it. Meaning you have a spot price, which is a gauge. It is not the actual value of the metal. And I believe that is one of the things that is going to be changing here in the very near future. The physical market is where we derive our price from. And a good example of that would be this last year in 2015, American Silver Eagles, they were a certain amount over spot. Like I think they were like 12, 15% over spot maybe. And then all of a sudden the mints shut down, and they weren't able to produce. And the premiums for those went up to 25, 35% over spot. And so that is what determines the price that we, when you use your debit card, is done at close of business every day at 2:30. That's when the markets are all shut down. That's the spot price we use as a gauge. And then we'll go online to probably, 6 to 8, maybe 10 different retailers, as in people that are selling precious metals online. And we will compete with the top tier, the top 1, 2, 3 of those businesses. And that's what we will offer you as a sell price if you're buying from us. And then if you're using your debit card, we're anywhere from 1% at this current time in the market, at 1% over spot for generic rounds, and then up to like $1.50 over spot for American Eagles, Silver Eagles.
So there's a safety in whatever every time someone swipes their debit card, that they're not going to just lose a lot of value with you guys between the time they swipe it and the time that you guys actually settle the transaction.
Correct. How that works is, well, if you were to look in the average market of your physical dealers, okay, if you were buying and selling to a physical dealer, when you take your metal or buy your metal from them, they have a percentage over. Right now we're at 8% over, so that's about like at $14 is like $1.12, I think, somewhere in that range on our generic stuff. And then I'm not sure, I'd have to look it up for today's value on the American Eagles, the not Kruger, I'm thinking gold there, sorry. Maple Leafs, the Kangaroos, and so on. Those all have a different value over spot. Because of the marketing, the minting, the things the overhead that goes into those is different on each one, and I guess the supply and demand help determine that value. And so we're always going to the open market to determine what value you will receive when you use your debit card, and what you will have to pay when you're making a purchase through us and or depositing metal to your account.
Mm. Okay. Yeah, no, that sounds really good. Let's talk about something. I mean, I see this a lot. People are they find it like a conflict of interest. And as a representative in the precious metals bullion business, I'd like you to be able to respond to it. And people have an issue with representatives coming on and essentially fear-mongering, quote-unquote, pushing precious metals as a result, profiting off of them. And so there's this question of integrity. Do they really believe in the precious metals, or are they just pushing it to profit in fiat dollars? Are you selling your own precious metals to other people while you're saying it's a good investment type of thing? I know the answer to that, but why don't you go ahead and just kind of react to this, because a lot of people are asking this question, and I think it's fair to clear the air on this.
You bet, yeah. Well, first and foremost, anything I say shouldn't be construed as financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor, and all I can really do is share with you what I'm doing. And I've been doing this now for about 4 years, where I use metal for money. And granted, it's not been a very good 4 years. Our proprietary software keeps track of capital gain loss for every cup of coffee, for every set of tires, for whatever I'm using my precious metal card for. Therefore, for the last 4 years, I've actually gone backwards. The first year I didn't use it a whole lot. I used it maybe a third of what I should have been using, but it was new and I was getting used to it. I lost about $800 of capital loss in that first year. The second year, I doubled that. It was about $1,200–1,500. And the third year, it went up. It was about $1,800. And this last year is now been, I'm hitting that 18, maybe 2,200. I haven't done my year-end books, but I'm probably around that $2,000 capital loss, because every chance I get, I make my house payment with it. I make my gas payment with it. I make my electrical payment with it. Everything I do is in precious metals, because I want as far away from that fiat as possible. And so I'm opting out in a voluntary way without offending anyone, as in the powers that be, and I'm still converting. I have to use their U.S. FER note, the Federal Reserve note. But in the meantime, everything else that I own and hold is in precious metals. So I try not to sell my metal to private individuals. What we do in the industry is we order as we need it and pay as we go. Some people are a little bit bigger bankroll than I, and they can make an inventory and they can, buy and sell out of that. And I can too in my local market on a physical area, on a smaller physical basis. But on a larger scale, no, we have to place orders, wait for it to get here, and make the deposit into the correct accounts, just like any other banking system that is collateralized. I want to come back to that a little bit. 100% collateralization. That, I think, is what banking was intended to be. when we got off track on that and we started creating money for money on account and currencies and getting all that convolution, that's why we're in the mess that we're in. We've created too much debt in this world, and I think it's coming home to roost. And I'm just encouraging people, prepare yourself. Whether you get your metal from me or not, I don't care. Whether you make a deposit with us in other forms of metal that's not purchased through us, I don't care. It's your wealth. You make those decisions. You store what you feel is accommodative in your portfolio, whether it be 10%, 50%, or if you're a nutcase like me, I'm 100% in. I'm sold out. I'm one of those conspiracy guys that wear that tinfoil hat, but now I'm trading that in for a silver foiled hat because that's really where all my wealth is.
Dale, I mean, that's very transparent, and I really do appreciate that, and I know the audience does as well. So kind of just to recap what you said and to answer that question, you transact and you make your income in precious metals the same way somebody else would go out and, you know, be a mechanic and earn money, you know, fiat dollars, let's say, but then your savings, you're all in. Your savings is in precious metals as well. It's where your mouth is. You're not just some guy buying precious metals and pawning it off. You earn income, you earn your commissions there, but it's your core savings is very much in precious metals, where your mouth is. And I think that's where a lot of people are confused. They think the bullion dealers just, you know, they have precious metals, like you said, some of them have an actual inventory, but they're just trying to get rid of it and earn commissions off of that. But you actually believe in it because you save in it.
Absolutely.
So. Okay,
Very
so
good.
What are your thoughts? You said tinfoil hat. Where do you think gold is going from here, gold and silver?
Well, I know one thing in the daily market, it goes up, it goes down. In the long term, I think there's going to be a recall or a reset or some way we're coming back to our foundation. The world is already, actually, I don't think the world ever left the gold standard. I think that there was some shoddy accounting going on and hypothecation, rehypothecation, leverage, loaning, leasing, whatever term you want to put on it, management, mismanagement, rigging. I mean, there's so many things out there today that, you know, you really have to seek outside media as an alternative media stuff to really, you know, research this stuff. And so that's what I encourage people to do. Is take what I'm telling you, believe what I tell you, verify what I'm saying, and really make it something that you understand. Because if you don't hold it, you don't own it. And that's really the key here. And eventually, once you get hold of that metal, you're going to start needing to use it for money. And that's where we would like to help you alleviate that cumbersomeness of you know, doing it the old-fashioned way. And we just try to add an option for people to be able to take advantage of their wealth the way they see fit.
Dale, you know, you brought up a point that kind of stirred up a question in my mind. If somebody wanted to purchase something for $1 and they got gold in their account, how do they do that? If, you know, gold obviously is not very divisible that easily. So how do you guys do a transaction like that, or do you only do a minimum amount for people who want to use their debit cards?
No. We keep, our proprietary software keeps track of each debit down to the 0.01 of an ounce of gold, silver, platinum, or palladium, whatever metal of choice you're using. And then let's say you start with 100 ounces of silver and then use your debit card, say for $35.40, and that leaves you whatever the balance is in fractional. Say maybe it was $98 or not $98, excuse me, 98 ounces, 0.285 or something to that effect. And then you wanted to retake that into custody. What we would offer you then is you gave us a 100-ounce bar, you fractional that out, you used a little bit of it, so then we take 9 10-ounce bars, then we would take 8 ounce rounds or bars, and then the minimal amount, the fractional amount, say 0.245, would be converted into a currency of your jurisdiction, and then, or U.S. dollars.
So,
and then that's how you would redeem and or be delivered back to you.
so if we send you 100 beautiful silver eagles, will you send back quote unquote junk rounds to the
No,
the investor?
no, it's like kind for like kind. That's a great question. Like kind for like kind. If you send in your own eagles, we do our very best to segregate that and keep that set aside. But as we grow and functionally, I think it's probably going to be in an allocated account. So if you send us in 2015 eagles, and then you used your account for a few days or a few months or a few years, whatever it might be, and you had something left over, and when you decided to take custody, you will get back eagles, but you may not get back the exact same eagles that you sent in, but you will get back like kind.
So can people send in junk silver and junk type metal? Do you guys accept that, or do you have a minimum standard for what you accept for your system?
Well, it depends on the individual at the time of deposit, if that's what they want to do. We will accept, we do the constitutional silver, as in pre-64.
Okay.
Junk silver to us as a dealer, in my book, is like silverware, flatware, sterling silver, jewelry, things like that is more of a junk because it has to be refined. It has overhead. It has cost of lowering value because you can't reuse it in the form that it is. So you have to do authentications and refining overhead. So we try not to use that junk silver, but we will use constitutional money, dimes, quarters, and halves, pre-64 and before. But then again, it's what the open market is allotting for buying and selling. So if that gives you and gains you more value than using your generic rounds, then yeah, we'll offer you more for that. And of course, then when you make a purchase or to go to deposit from us, then you also have to pay the higher premium of the physical market.
Wow, no, that's great. I mean, it's interesting information. I'm trying to think of like the more abstract questions that people might have. Is there anything else that it would be valuable for people to know about what it is that you offer and what it is that you do?
What I offer is education of understanding, and what I do is every day new clients come through the door and they see the precious metal in the window. I'm in a retail setting where my office is, and I'm more of an educator than I am a bullion dealer at this point, because honestly, I don't care where you get your metal from. Just get your metal, back up the truck, load it up, and hang on to it, because if you don't, something big comes our way. And in my humble estimation, it will change everything that we have in our life. And that is through the function of the systems that are imploding and breaking, down to what we can do for people is give them the opportunity and the option to be able to use some of those assets and still function in a maybe a less chaotic way. I'm not sure if that's going to be what plays out, but as I've stated, that's what we really would like to see happen. But to make that chaos less chaotic, and that transition time and or the transformation time of a reset, if that's what it comes to be smoother and more what's a bigger word for that? Lost my thought on that one, but I think you get the understanding.
We do, Dale. It's again, it's an incredible system. I mean, in my mind, I'm very interested in this product for myself, and I think it's just very fascinating that you've been able to put something like this together. So if people want to visit you and get more information on this product, precious metals, storing their precious metals, or the PMAC card, where would they go, and what would they find?
Right now, this is something else that I've worked hard at doing. Is I also believe in debt-free living. I do owe on my house, but everything else is paid for. I don't owe on a car. I don't owe on any other items in my life. But what we try to do is a debt-free business, and so I'm a little bit limited on ways to get hold of me, as in internet-wise, although that is starting to change. We're really excited. Here last fall, I started started conversations with a couple different firms, and we're just put together a team of 5, 6 different, computer software engineers, and we're looking at developing a good e-commerce site. That will probably be the second stage. The first stage is to get back to our basics and put together a doable and functioning, precious metal bullion site for customers to be able to access their account and their account information securely. That was my biggest thing. I just don't believe in the secureness of the internet with a lot of prying eyes of what's going on, and a lot of our clientele like to be discreet about what they own. And so what we do now is paper trail. We only have this system functioning in-house, and we don't have it online yet. But those are some of the things in the pipeline that are going to be coming down the road. Accessibility to be able to do things online.
No, so people can visit your site, Precious Metals Bullion and Vault. Or the web page that we do have up right now is informational only, and you can download an application and send it in. And it's a site under construction. That construction is going to be changing here in the next 6 months or so. We just, like I had just previously said, put together a team that is going to be able to allow us to do that. And so the site, to get a little bit of information, basically our flyer that I can send out to people also is pmb-vllc.com, pmb-vllc.com. And then the email address that I can get a little more personal and answer more direct questions would be the caller pmb-v@hotmail.com. And then a phone conversation, if you want to catch me during office hours, is Monday through Friday, 10 to 5, and I'm at 509-484-7753 if you have more intimate questions that you'd like answers verbally over the phone. Well, everyone, that's Dale Olmstead, just, on the forefront of the changing economy. Dale, thanks so much for sharing this information with us and coming on the show with me today.
Yeah, thank you for having me.